Okay, after that last video, I've got people asking me, well, what's the game changer? Or what's some more recipes that you did? So we're going to take care of that today. I got a recipe. Hopefully get it published soon of one that I designed that I really liked that we did tonight. So I'll get that up there soon, and then let's talk about the game changers. We're going to do the first one. This is the big one. This is a huge one, actually. I've been working with Lisa for over 3 years now, with some significant health issues. She's had histamine intolerance and mast cell activation syndrome, and spent thousands of dollars every 3 months just on supplements, and gotten some results. But what we're going to talk about is the one that's made this most significant changes and really helped her. But it's not only helped her, it's helped every single patient that started doing it. So this is a big one. What we're going to talk about, the one we're going to talk about is one that deals with your gut health. In the United States, it's a huge problem. It's basically a pandemic problem, but it's not as well known a problem as it should be. We know that there's gut health stuff. Everybody's trying to sell you probiotic drinks, probiotic yogurts, and all this stuff, but really they don't work. Most of that stuff, even a lot of the probiotics that you take, don't ever make it into the intestines. It dies in the stomach acid. So what's going on with our gut health? Well, in the U.S., and I imagine in a lot of places in the world, one of our go-tos when we get sick is antibiotics. And those antibiotics, they kill the bacteria that's causing us to be sick. But not only do they kill that bacteria, they kill the bacteria in our gut, the good bacteria. So in our gut, we want our small intestines to kind of look like a rainforest. That in flora, or that healthy bacteria in our gut, aids with digestion. It keeps the gut healthy. And when we take the antibiotics, we start killing that off. And in some strains of bacteria, we kill off the first time we take antibiotics, and it never comes back. So we start, instead of looking like a rainforest, we get a dysbiotic gut, which is more like a desert. So, hey, look where I am. I'm in the desert. The ground's cracking out there. The ground doesn't look so good because it doesn't have enough water. It doesn't have enough vegetation. So it starts cracking. That's kind of what happens with our gut. And so as our gut starts, the bacteria starts getting less and less in our gut, and we get this dysbiosis, that allows other bacteria to come in. Now we have bacteria in our large intestine that's great for our large intestine, not so good for our small intestine. So I like to think of it as these big, ugly, mean bacteria that are sitting in our large intestine taking care of business. But now all of a sudden we've lost a lot of our bacteria in our small intestine, and that bad bacteria, that mean bacteria, decides, hey, I'm going to take over. And it starts migrating up into our small intestines and through our small intestines and into our stomach and everything. And so now we've got 30 feet of bad bacteria, unhealthy bacteria living in our guts. And that's what's called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Now with the SIBO, this bad bacteria, it starts eating away your gut lining and causes it to get worse. And then that bacteria, it reproduces, dies off, reproduces, dies off. And that dying off bacteria will allow products from that bacteria to travel through that dysbiotic gut into our bloodstream. And that's called endotoxemia. Now, endotoxemia can cause lots and lots of different problems. It can cause skin rashes. It can cause irritable bowel syndromes. It can cause restless leg syndrome. It can cause inflammation, joint issues, all sorts of different things. And so when we see this, if you start looking in society and look at some of the stuff, you can see this SIBO in a lot of different things. So now there's a few signs that you may have SIBO, and I'd be willing to bet you have it. But here's some symptoms that you can look for and say, oh yeah, I have this. I probably have SIBO. If I have this, or you have multiple ones, almost guaranteed you have SIBO. So how do you know if you got SIBO? Well, I'd say let's start with the first one. If you have food allergies that you've not had before, if you have been able to drink dairy no problem, and all of a sudden now you're having allergy to dairies, or eat eggs and now all of a sudden you can't eat eggs because they're causing you to feel like crap, or any various things that food allergies that start popping up, it's a really good bet that you have SIBO. Irritable bowel syndrome. You have irritable bowel syndrome, 95% likely you probably have SIBO. You have fibromyalgia, very high chance you have SIBO. So you need to get rid of the SIBO, decrease the grain in your diet if you have fibromyalgia. That's a huge one. Skin rashes, we talked about that. If you're getting eczema, different things like that, probably SIBO related. If you're having ever taken antibiotics, well, you probably have SIBO. Restless leg syndrome, obesity, probably better than 50% chance you have SIBO just if you're obese. If you have diabetes, 50% again probably that diabetes is caused by SIBO. That's why as you take and go on these diets, like the carnivore diet, let's say, or these no carb diets, it starts killing off that SIBO because it lives on sugar, and if it's not getting sugar, it starts dying off. And people are getting tremendous results with carnivore diet. Why are they getting such great results just eating meat? Our body's not designed to just eat meat. Our guts, our intestines are too long. They're not short like these carnivores. But we do really well on carnivore diet, and carnivore diet's taking over. Well, it's because you're killing off the SIBO with the carnivore diet. You start killing off that SIBO, and you start feeling better because you're killing that SIBO, cleaning out that small intestine. So that's why my blood sugar dropped to normal when I started doing my healthy keto diet that I was doing, because I'm not putting the carbs in there. I'm not feeding the SIBO. Start melting off the fat. A couple other things that can be signs of SIBO: Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig's, a lot of these autoimmune diseases. You can pretty much bet that it's probably a SIBO or CFO. You could have a small intestinal fungal overgrowth too. So some of those can be considered or something to consider if you start having some of these problems. A lot of heart diseases and stuff like that caused by inflammation. Again, that's caused by having the endotoxemia from that small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So these mean bacteria are getting in there and causing an issue. So I guess the big question you're probably asking now is, well, what do I do about SIBO? Okay, there is a few things you can do. You can do the carnivore diet if you want. You can do the keto diet, the healthy keto like I did. That's going to help you lose weight and help you feel better. And it's also going to help you kill some of that SIBO overgrowth. Now, the big one, this is the game changer again, coming out right here. We're going to do a cultured dairy. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 3 different bacterias into half and half milk. Now you're saying, wait, I can't do milk. Well, Lisa can't do milk either, but she can do this. Because what happens is when we put these bacteria in the culture, the dairy, the half and half, it goes through and eats all the sugars and stuff out of the half and half. So most of the stuff that causes the allergies is removed by this bacteria. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 3 different bacteria. Now you can start, if you want to just start with one, you can start with just plain L. reuteri. That's an incredible one. It works great, works wonderful. You don't have to start with all 3. There's an advantage to all 3, but L. reuteri are a big one. And so if you go look on YouTube And you look up Dr. William Davis, cardiologist. He is the gut guy. He wrote the book on this. He's the one that he's got so many different videos himself on it, and then there's so many people making L-Reuteri yogurt from William Davis on there. So you'll find hundreds of different ones. But Dr. William Davis, he's the go-to man on this. So first off, we're going to put L-Reuteri in there. That's a big one. We're going to put L-Gasseri in there. That's another one. And those are both fight off the gram-positive bacteria in there. So it's going to take care of some of this gram-positive bacteria that's growing in your gut. And then he's just recently changed his thing. So if you watch some of his older videos, he's going to tell you different bacteria. But recently in one of his updates, he decided that old bacteria doesn't get rid of or doesn't reproduce well in dairy. And so he switched to Bacillus subtilis. And that one kills the gram-positive unhealthy bacteria in your gut. So now you're taking care of the whole spectrum. You're cleaning out that gut big time with this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put somewhere between 4 billion, well, I do a half gallon. So if you do a quarter gallon, you're going to do somewhere between 2 billion and 20 billion or more. But so you're going to put, let's say 20 billion organisms of each one in this half gallon of half and half. You're going to put inulin in there. So once that bacteria finishes feeding on the sugars from the milk, and it's going to feed on those first because it really loves those, then it's going to start feeding on the inulin, which it doesn't reproduce quite as fast with that inulin, but it still gives it something to reproduce. And you're going to cook it for 36 hours. Now, L-Reuteri reproduces better at about 100 degrees, but L-Gasseri reproduces better about 108 degrees. And subtilis is somewhere in there too. So we usually run ours 106. We had to go buy a new Instant Pot Pro because our old Instant Pot wouldn't work. Instant Pot Pro lets us set the time and the temperature on it. You can go get a sous vide machine like Dr. William Davis uses. And it keeps the circulating the water at the temperature he wants. Or you can get these yogurt making machines. I really like the Instant Pot. It does an incredible job. And you're going to take these bacteria, you're going to put them in the half and half, you're going to put your inulin in there, you're going to stick it in there, you're going to cook it for 36 hours. And what's going to happen is you're going to take that small amount of bacteria, well, the billions of organisms you put in there, and they're going to reproduce. And you're going to have, once you get that done, when you take a quarter cup out of there, just a quarter cup, you're going to have over 300 billion organisms in there. And that's a really gentle estimate. My estimates are that it would be more than double that, but you're getting a lot. And if you're in bad shape, I would start off with a quarter cup. If you're not in as bad a shape as some, and you think you can, we do a half a cup because we like a half a cup. Lisa was losing weight, unable to put any weight back on, unable to keep her weight on. She got down to 89 pounds and wasn't liking things and not feeling well at all. She started on the yogurt and got a little sick at first because it was killing off the bacteria, but then that cleared up and she started doing better, and she actually started putting weight on because her body was able to start processing and utilizing the food she was eating, because she was basically starving herself to death because her body wasn't digesting food properly. So this has been an incredible game changer. I'm going to show you a clip here in a second on how we make it, how easy it is to do. So stay tuned. Take a good look at Dr. William Davis's stuff if you want more information on this. Okay, the game changer. This is the creating L-Reuteri yogurt. We're not doing just L-Reuteri, we're going to do the 3 bacteria in the SIBO yogurt is what we're going to do. So we're going to take half and half. We use a half gallon at a time because we like to do a pretty large dose for each of us, for both of us. So we both eat about a half a cup a day. So we're going to pour that in there. Now, I don't necessarily recommend using a blender. If you got a Vitamix and you can put some hot water in there and turn it up pretty high and blow out all that bacteria that could be in the joints and stuff like that, that's great. Regular blender, you're going to run into the problem of it's going to spin too fast and could damage the bacteria. So, or it could have things hidden in it. So Vitamix is okay. If you don't have Vitamix, you can just whisk it. I use the Vitamix because it's easier and faster for me. When I put the inulin powder in, it mixes better, faster. Otherwise, you just have to whisk it in slowly and make sure it doesn't clump up on you. So we're going to put a half a cup of inulin powder. Half a cup of inulin powder in the, or quarter cup, sorry, not half a cup. We're going to do a quarter cup of inulin powder. This is going to give food for the bacteria to grow after, and I'm going to turn it on slow. Vitamix has a slow thing, so I can just slowly blend it in, slowly mix it in. But this is going to give food for the bacteria to eat after it's eaten all the sugars out of the half and half. So we just buy the organic half and half, Horizon's organic half and half from Costco, $8 a half gallon, not too bad. Mix the inulin in there. Now, if you're doing it from scratch, you're going to use L-reuteri, and you're going to put one capsule, and that's about 10,000 or 10 billion organisms. You're going to use the HU56, which is the Bacillus subtilis. You can put one of those in there, another 10 billion. And then you're going to use Lactobacillus gasseri. And you're going to put in this is about 50,000 or 50 billion per scoop. So 100 billion per scoop. So we're going to use about an eighth of a scoop, just a little more than about a capsule's worth of this in there. And we're going to mix that in, and that's our start. But since I already have a batch done, here's the nice part. For about 5 batches after you get done with the first batch, you do about 4 more. You just open your old batch, nice and creamy. Take a quarter cup of that out, and I'm going to dump that in there. The one thing I forgot to grab was a spatula. Grab a spatula real quickly. We're going to scoop that into there. Pretty close, if not a full quarter cup, maybe a little more. We mix that in there. Turn it on for a half a second. Let it blend, mix that in again. Of course, you're going to whisk it in if you don't have a Vitamix and you can't turn slow. Okay, now that that's all done, it's pretty much made up. Now I'm going to pour it in these mason jars. You don't have to worry about getting these perfectly sanitized or anything. If you do just a good hot soapy bath of water, rinse them out, it's pretty good. Now the reason we only do 5 batches and then restart is because these bacteria repopulate at different rates. So the gasseri populates better at about 108 degrees, where the L-reuteri populates better at 100 degrees. So we run ours about 106 degrees. I'm not sure what the bacillus does, and so one of them's going to start being a little more dominant in there. So after about 5 batches, rather than have one get overly dominant, we go ahead and start with another one. Now, an interesting way you can do this is, grab these lids real quick. If you take your first batch that you do, take one of them out, measure out a tablespoon, put it in an ice cube tray. If you can put 2 tablespoons in an ice cube tray, that's even better, that's great. about at least 1 tablespoon per ice cube tray, and then throw the whole batch in the freezer in ice cube trays. So one of these bottles would become your ice cube tray bottles. Now, what I would do with those is once I get done with my 5 uses of this batch, so this is batch number 3 from this batch, once I get done with my 5th use, I'm not going to use them anymore. I'm going to go in the tray and I'm going to grab out 4 ice cubes. That's a 1/4 cup. I'm going to thaw them out. I'm going to put them in my thing. I'm going to put my inulin powder in there. I'm going to throw it in my crock pot or my Instapot, and I'm going to cook it. Now I'm on batch 2 again. I get 4 more batches, and then I can stop using that, start another 4 batches, and I can get through one of these. It takes me 20 batches or more to get through the whole thing. Even more than that, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't calculated it out exactly, but quite a bit. And that way, I don't have to keep starting over. So your bacteria are going to last you forever because you're not going to have to worry about keep on using those every time. And you're going to store them in the fridge anyway, so that keeps them living longer. So now I'm going to take this. I put about a 1/4 cup of water, just enough to cover the whole bottom. I found that works better. And then I'm just going to set these in here. Make sure the lids are on properly and good. Sitting good, they're not tilted, going to be fine. So I'm going to grab my lid, left it over here. Put the lid on there. Now this is the Instapot Pro. If you look over on the other side of my counter, you're going to see my Instapot. It didn't work. It didn't have the settings that the Pro had, so I had to go buy the Pro. And you can find these on sale sometimes for 130 bucks or so on Amazon. Otherwise, they're a little more expensive. So I'm going to go on Instapot Pro. I'm going to hit my yogurt button. My yogurt's already programmed. 36 hours at 106 degrees. I push start, and it's good. Open the vent. We don't want to leave that closed. And we're off and cooking. 36 hours from now, we're going to have a brand new batch of yogurt. This one will be just finishing up, and we'll be good to go with our new batches. Okay, once they're done, we're going to put the lids on, because this has got water. That one did, no, that one didn't. There we go. Okay, so here's what I like to do with mine. Now you can eat this plain, just do the yogurt by itself. It's kind of like a sour creamy type texture. My wife really likes it like that. I like to throw a little bit of raspberries in the bowl, throw in a little bit of frozen wild blueberries. Looks like I need to get a new bag. This one's running a little low. But put those in there. And I choose to do raspberries and blueberries. You can also do blackberries. Those are 3 of the berries that are actually low in sugar, so they won't knock you out of ketosis. Don't do too much of them. But then I throw a couple scoops of yogurt in there, and that gives me all my bacteria. It's probably about a 1/2 cup. And then I mix it all in to melt the blueberries. Now I wouldn't use strawberries and I wouldn't use cherries and stuff like that because they're a little higher in sugar. But as we mix these together, you can see it streams through, and then you got yourself a nice little dessert.